Hey kids, Dean from Crypto the Wonder Dog Show. A couple of days ago, we had on Eamonn with Sunil, and myself and Charlie joined in. And I let Charlie do most of the talking on this one because he's a lot smarter than I am. But we had a great talk with Sunil from Globatalent, and he told us all about this decentralized sports network and how you can tokenize your favorite athlete and get paid because you believed in him from the beginning. This is the conversation that we had with Eamon, Sunil, Charlie, and myself on Crypto the Wonder Dog Show. You guys ready to start the show? All right, let's start the show. You think that this stuff would be so easy to do, but I mean, try to do this like 20 years ago with just a computer and a microphone and an internet connection. My gosh.
Yeah.
We got a multi-million-dollar operation going here for just a couple of dollars.
A couple of dollars, yeah, you're right.
Just a couple of dollars, man. Okay, Eamon, are you on the road?
I'm alive and moving, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay, we're going to try this again for the third time today. Our wonderful, wonderful internet has been hindrance on us, but I think we got all the kinks straightened out, and we're moving down the road now. Okay, so we have Eamonn Donlyn and Sunil Bhardwaj from Globatalent. Charlie, my right-hand man, how you doing?
Yeah, great. Still hanging in there.
Yeah, you've been excited about this interview. You've been shooting me over questions and everything, and so we're gonna,
the blockchain is really taking over. I know I sent you an article about how blockchain is going to be financing movies, or at least some film production, and now we have a chance to be able to speak to a gentleman, Sunil Bhardwaj, president and founder of Globatalent, which is going to be using blockchain to help finance sports and teams and players, and it's fascinating to me, and I'm so glad we have Eamon and Sunil online to be able to explain to us what's going on, what are the the latest frontiers, or what's going to be going on with this new technology, and how it's going to be helping sports along.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for your words. And it's my pleasure to be in your podcast. And I think blockchain can change a lot of business or traditional business. And hopefully, Globatalent will be able to support and change the sport industry in the next 4 or 5 years. That basically, I think the sports industry needs to be more transparent. And I think blockchain can help on this process as well.
Yeah, one of the things I was telling Dean was that a few years ago, I think it was in 2013 actually, that there was an American football player who wanted to actually sell shares in his future. I think his name was Adrian Foster. He was a running back, and he wanted to, make himself into a commodity, I guess, and go ahead and help finance his future by selling, I guess, creating an IPO and selling future shares to whatever investor wanted it. But now we have blockchain. 2013 blockchain hadn't evolved to the point that it is now. So now you are creating a capacity for people to actually invest through blockchain in players and in teams. Can you explain how that works? How would the mechanism go about doing that?
Yes, I mean, I've been involved in the sports industry for 20 years. Okay, so at the end, what the problem is that the clubs, players, athletes, they are struggling from the financial point of view. Just allow me some words from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. About 3 or 4 months ago, he said that it is not fair that while NCAA tournaments or NCAA universities, they get a huge amount of money, the TVs, they get a huge amount of money during the NCAA, while the students, they get just only a scholarship. So basically, a sport is a big business. So the principal actors are not very involved in it, or they don't get the big part of the cake. So basically, it's very simple. I need money to carry on my sports career. So right now, nobody supports me. So what we pretend is, hey, can you invest in me in my early stage where I'm 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, depending on the sport? And on the other hand, I will give you a small part of my future incomes. So if you support me now, let's say a tennis player, 14, 15 years old, he needs, $200,000 for carrying his sports career, but, he's struggling from the financial point. And he said, okay, let's tokenize my 10% of my future incomes. So I allowed worldwide investors, they can invest, buy my token, be transparent on the blockchain, be secure. And so that means that every token holder of this tennis player, if the player achieves to be a successful tennis player, he will get 10% of their future incomes as a professional tennis player for maybe 5 years, 10 years, depending of what the athletes has decided to sell. While right now, the hedge funds, some hedge funds, they support some athletes, and they said, okay, I'll give you these $200,000, $300,000, but on the other hand, you have to give me half of the money that you're making for your professional career. So, which we think it's not fair. That's one point. And then through blockchains, it's allows to democratize the investment in the sport in the sports, and allows a big problem in the sport industry, which is fan engagement. Fans right now, they don't have team engagement or athlete engagement. I mean, that's a big problem. So we thought that, okay, through blockchain, everything is transparent. With who are you investing, how much, how is the transactions, from both sides. And then from a more social point of view, allows that anybody from any part of the world, it doesn't matter race, color, ethnic, religion, it doesn't matter. As long as you have talent, you will be able to be invested by your fans as long as you can promote yourself. So thanks to the internet, the revolution of 20, 25 years ago, so now almost all over the globe, you have able to connect on internet. So if we add internet, Globatalent, blockchain, we build up a platform where everybody can be involved in the sport industry.
It's interesting that you bring up Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and American sports, and I think many of our listeners or people in general don't understand there's a great deal of resentment, growing resentment by players against, especially at the college level, where a few years ago, Northwestern University, their football players wanted to form a union because, you know what, they felt that they were overworked. They weren't getting, they weren't capable of fulfilling a lot of the scholarship, academic requirements. And I think you've touched on something that a lot of people don't really understand. People or athletes, even at the college level, they're very frustrated at the situation as it stands now. It's in a sense, it's very centralized, and they don't have any say. So the blockchain and cryptocurrencies are capable of decentralizing and, from what I'm understanding, capable of putting more power in the hands of the players than they have currently.
Yes, it's exactly how you say. I mean, with Maurice Evans, one of our advisors, we were talking about in the same way. I mean, the power of the sport should be on athletes, clubs, plus fans. I mean, and right now, fans, they are just spectators, and they are one of the ones that they support sport and invest a lot. So it doesn't make sense that fans and athletes, they are away of this business. They're supposed to be the ones that they have the biggest part of this huge cake. And then in the second thing, then a blockchain and decentralizations allows to cut middlemen. And in our case, we think that, we don't say that we will cut all the middlemen, but at least we will allow another way to help the sports community.
Ladies
Yeah,
and
it's
gentlemen, we are...
interesting.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. It's interesting. I mean, I'm curious, from your perspective, Sunil, this is Eamonn. I mean, how has the reaction been from, the athletes themselves? You've obviously signed some big names. What's the reaction from the athlete community?
I mean, the athlete community, they were very impressed. That's why we had a lot of support from them, because all of us that we've been in this industry, we know all these. We have had some kind of problems. The athletes, they have. I mean, the most successful ones. Okay, they make good money, but just imagine Messi. He was supported by Barcelona football club, and if Barcelona wouldn't allowed him or would don't like to invest huge amount of money on his health, right now Messi would not exist. So, and that is just a small example. So they know that in a process that you are able to decentralize the raising money for them, if in some way we achieve to decentralize this process, they are so exciting. I mean, because at the end, I mean, they want to be part of the sport community. They want to be decentralized, and all of it. We have had some kind of back experience in high level in professional sports. So even clubs, they know that they need money. They need to raising continuously. And if can you imagine just for example, a basketball team in NBA allow to tokenize the right to choose the player number 12 in their pro team. So they could raise $1 billion or $500 million. So and at the end, it's a way where the athletes, they know that the fan and the sport community could invest in them, and then it's fair that they receive back some parts of the incomes that they receive. I mean, they're looking for the end of September, beginning of October, when we'll be able to tokenize the first assets. So they are very exciting as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are speaking with Sunil Bhardwaj. He is the president and founder of Globatalent, a blockchain entrepreneur. Excuse me, a blockchain company that is attempting to fund both athletes and teams. Sunil, one of the questions that came up when I was listening to you, pardon me, is how are the team owners and the leagues themselves responding to something like this? It would seem to me that in many cases, let's say, for instance, staying in America, the NBA wouldn't be, or the NFL wouldn't be all that happy with a player capable of saying, going outside of the system and saying, I'm going to do this myself. What kind of problems do you anticipate, or are there going to be problems with the leagues and the ownership?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, before we set the company and we start the project, we tried to talk with different actors of this business: clubs, basketball clubs, football clubs, soccer clubs, hockey clubs, different clubs, and athletes as well. So basically, I think the most concerning thing is to be alienated. Okay, as long as it's good for the franchise and it's good for the players, it's fair enough. Let's say that a NBA basketball player, he decides to tokenize his image rights, and then he's in Lakers, and then he signs for New York Knicks, and he said, "Hey guys, I have my image I tokenized my image, 2 years ago, and belongs to 300 or 30,000 token holders." I mean, in sports, you can go through collective image rights or individual image rights. So as long as you tokenize your individual image rights that belongs to you as an individual, there isn't any problem. The problem comes that when you're trying to sell your collective image rights, that you cannot, because that belongs to you plus to your franchise. Okay, so I think they are alienated because at the end, both of them, they are the principal actors of this business. So probably we don't know what is the future will depend, but I'm sure that clubs and players they will work together in some aspects, and they will tokenize assets together. I mean, because probably the most concerning part of this project is the middlemen. But even I think the middlemen, some of them will reconvert in another way his own business, because right now, some of them they just using players as if they were cows or selling in a market, and where they don't care about if they are a person. So I think clubs and players, the goals are alienated, so it will be fine.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, it's interesting. Like the NFL players, many of them have already done this, right? I mean, they sell their own TV T-shirts. They sell their own products on TV. They do a lot of things, and they just don't have the team logo on them. They don't have the league representation on the products. So this is already happening in a lot of different areas. It just hasn't been, hasn't really been a platform like yours to help them scale it and all of them to do it.
Yeah, you are right.
Well, a few years ago, there was I believe his name was Ed O'Banion. He was a player at UCLA, and I believe he sued Eamonn, you might know more about this than I do, but I remember he sued to get some sort of recompensation for the fact that his likeness was being used from the time when he was a basketball player at UCLA, and he wasn't getting compensated. And it would seem to me that if blockchain was available to him at the time, he could have just said, well, I don't need to have UCLA or any other person use my likeness. I can do it myself, and I can go ahead and use the blockchain in order to facilitate that. So in a way, this is a real world experience. I mean, these are situations that are taking place at the moment. As you mentioned, Eamonn, players are already beginning to do this. Their likenesses, they are themselves are very valuable commodities, and if the blockchain can facilitate they're using their own likeness, then I can see how this would be in some ways a threat, but also a remarkable way of being able to make revenue and profit for these players, where it should belong, in my opinion.
Yes, it's like this. I mean, I think blockchain will allow, or it's allowing already, to be your own owner, and which is fair. I mean, you're a basketball player and NFL player. I mean, you are the one who are playing, who taking care about your health, the one is training. So it's fair that you make big money and business with you and sharing this with your sports community. And then the scalability of this process is huge. I mean, you could tokenize almost everything. I mean, you could tokenize your fans, you could tokenize your image rights, your future income. So it's huge. And in the future, it will appear more rights to be tokenized, because that will change. So, yes, of course. And, I'm thinking right now, is if I want to go to to university, I want to play, I'm apparently a quite good basketball player, and they give me a scholarship. I could say, hey, I don't want my scholarship. I could tokenize my future incomes. So in this way, I decide for which university I could go. I think blockchain, it will allow us to change a lot of actual behavior and be more fair and more democratic.
Sunil, let me ask you a question. Let's say, for instance, let's just take a real world experience. Let's say Roger Federer, who's a very famous tennis player, decides that he wants to tokenize his image or his future income. How would he go about it? What's the mechanism that he would need to utilize in order to be able to do that? How would he create an ICO?
Okay, basically, we have different principles. First principle is to be transparent and fair. Okay, so that means that if you decide to tokenize yourself or part of your image, you have to be able to show your incomes to all the guys that buy your tokens. Okay, so basically, he should supposed to go to our website, signing in our platform, introduce all the details. I'm Roger Federer. I have this age, my weights, my milestone, my goals, everything. Okay, my social media, etc., etc. Okay, and then explain what do I want to tokenize. Okay, let's say I want to tokenize my image rights, my 100% of my full image rights. So I would say I'm making 30 million per year in image rights. So I want to tokenize 10% of my future incomes as from the image point of view. So if you're making 30 million in image rights, so that means 10% is 3 million. So I said, okay, I would tokenize my future incomes from the image rights for the next 5 years. Okay, 10%. So that makes 10% of 3 for 5 years. So it's 50 million. So I go to the platform, I present my business project, what I have been achieving in the past, how much I had raised as an image rights, okay, and decided to tokenize. Okay, and then they say soft cap, hard cap, middle cap, everything. So we start the marketing process. He starts the marketing process, and through the platform, the investors, the fans, they will be able to buy it directly on the platform. Okay, the fan investors, they will have to pass a KYC AML before they invest. So this way we know who is who, and they start the process to buy the tokens of the player. When they finish the process, the token of the player, it's only works in our platform. Okay, so it goes up and down. The value of the token, it goes up and down depending of the performance of the player. Let's say if Federer is in the Wimbledon and wins Wimbledon, probably his tokens will go up because it will increase the demand of the token. And from the investors or the fans, they will be able to buy and sell the Federer token in the platform, okay, as a trading. Okay, so that means that you could wait until you can wait the annual revenue of the incomes of Federer, or you could sell the token the next day that you have bought it. Okay, so in fact, what it happens that you have the investor can have some parts of could have the incomes from the incomes of Federer, or he could sell it on the trading, and it makes more. Let's say, it's not gambling, it's more real investment. And also, it makes a huge change from the engagement point of view, because if you have tokens of Federer, you are more worried about his performance. So maybe you will watch a tennis game while before you wouldn't. So that's improved also the sports ecosystem. So basically, it's how it works, okay, in our platform. Or let's say, I'm a fan, and I am a fan. I want to buy some tokens, or I want to follow some players, but I don't know which one do I have to buy. So I can say, okay, I can make research on the platform, see who is who, and then decide to invest in them. So that's basically the principles. But then, because we want to decentralize the sports, we are talking with different companies to join to the project in another way. Okay, let's say that you are a scouting company that you know the best top 10 tennis player in UK. Okay, so I will share this information with the investors that they would like to invest in tennis. So rather, the investors to look after the best 10 UK projects in tennis, they can buy this information from this guy or this company, and this company gets a small piece of the amount that the investor is investing. So in this way, you are becoming a company that is helping each company and decentralize the process of the sport business. That is overall. Okay, but there is another big important thing, which is the community. It's fair that 10,000, 12,000 young tennis players, they believe that they will be the next Roger Federer. That's fair.
Yeah.
Probably none of them, or maybe one of them, it would. Okay, but and we have to allow them to go to our platform. Okay, but on the other hand, the investors, they don't know to who can invest in a mess of 12,000 young tennis players from all over the world. So what we do is, okay, you are a tennis player from Europe or from wherever, from Argentina. So you go to the Globatalent platform, you sign in, you write down your milestone, your goals, your experience, social media, everything, how much you want to raise, etc., etc. Okay, but you are in this process, you are private. So nobody can see you on the platform. To become public, you need to get the community of tennis support. So that means that you have to share your bio or your link to in social media and to your network. So, and they will have to support you. And some of them, they will have some kind of rates or rating. So if I am a 5-star rates, and I support you, and a lot of guys that have five stars support you, then when you achieve the minimum rate, then you become public. Okay, so that means that minimum, when you become public, the investors, they know that you have passed some filters, and then the rates. And then you as a guy from the community, you can support different people. So if the one that you have to support becomes a successful player, you get tokens. All right. And if it doesn't, then your score rates goes down. So in this way, we prevent people to say, hey, I'm going to rate everybody, and maybe some of them will be a successful tennis player. So because we also need to involve the sports community in this project. And this is the way that we are planning to do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are speaking with Sunil Bhardwaj. He is the president and founder of Globatalent, a company that is involving itself with blockchain and players, athletes, and sports teams. The reason I brought up Sunil, tennis is because when I was a kid, that was one of the things I wanted to do. I actually, tried to become, and I even had notions of becoming a pro tennis player, or at least being able to get a college scholarship. But my family didn't have those kinds of resources to send me to private lessons and tennis clubs and any of that nonsense. I mean, I just didn't have it. But if this was 40 years ago, and I was a little kid, and I had an opportunity, what I would have to do is then, if this was available, if your company was available back then, I would have to be able to prove that I had the capacity to be a good tennis player by having the tennis community in my neighborhood or in the area that I was growing in support me. So I would have to be able to prove my talent by just playing in local tournaments and being able to showcase and show that I actually had a future being a tennis player. Would that have been the case with me? I mean, I would have had to have gone out and just simply proven my chops just in the local community before I could have gotten onto Globatalent.
Yeah, it's exactly how you say. I mean, it's first your neighbors, first your closest community, then go to Globatalent. Yeah, that's how it should be.
Nice.
Now,
Dean.
Hey, Sunil. Let me ask you something. As far as sports memorabilia, because I love sports memorabilia. I like collecting baseballs and footballs and things like that. Is there anything that would Globatalent would have to do with the memorabilia part of this?
In which sense are you asking this? Do you mean?
Well, 'cause there's a lot of fraud that goes along with sports memorabilia. Like you get I bought some baseballs a few years ago from a sports shop that I thought had a good reputation. I had them checked out, and they turned out to be fraud. They were they weren't real. They weren't the actual signature from whatever player was supposed to be on there. Would this help that in any way?
I mean, the thing is that blockchain, at least blockchain, it could be fitted in this opportunity, because it's a way that the process is secure, and you can make sure that the traceability of these signatures, of some merchandise, from all this stuff. So that also is a way to process. So we had an offer from a company that they are working in this field, and we said to them, hey, yes, come to Globatalent, offer this opportunity to the athletes, and spread it out to all the sport community. Why not?
Good.
We don't want to be.
Yeah.
We don't want to cut all middlemen to become the biggest middleman. We want to decentralize the sport.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, because
I mean,
that seems like something that would kind of go hand in hand with Globatalent. You would get a company kind of, there's a Beckett Media who is, they PSA, they do their guaranteeing of, if you get a PSA sticker on your football or baseball, then it's almost guaranteed. So it would seem like something like this would be very easy to incorporate with Globatalent.
Yeah, very easy. I mean, and very easy and very trustful, because at the end, if you have the athlete community, they could sign it and show it, and it's guaranteed. I mean, it's very easy using blockchain. So that's another point as well, and I think we'll see a big change in the sports industry, even ticketing. I mean, we are talking with another guys also to work together from the ticketing point of view, because in this way, going on a ticketing, if you're using blockchain, then you are allowed to know who is buying your ticket, and if some hooligans that they are not allowed to go to some stadiums, we could cut them, and we could avoid to have them in the stadiums. Just in Russia, there is the World Football Championship. You could guarantee at least that everybody who's in the stadium, the name, the persons, and special avoid reselling ticketing and sell the ticketing to some people who are not allowed to be in the stadium for being violent or hooligans, or this kind of people that we don't want in the sport business.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think blockchain, it's the perfect tool for all this process.
Wow, that's crazy.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I'm a believer that blockchain itself is very similar and symbiotic to sport in some ways, because they don't see race, they don't see cultural barriers, they don't see racial barriers, language barriers. Sport is so universal, and blockchain is very similar in those regards. So I'm sure that's one of the draws to the professional athletes as well. Tell us a little bit about the relationships with the professional athletes. You've got a lot of ambassadors, from Suarez with Barcelona all the way to a chess player. Tell us a little bit about those ambassador relationships and why they're so interested in the future of Globatalent.
Yeah, I mean, we have a ambassador like Luis Suarez from Barcelona. We have Marc Bartra, also a great football player, soccer player. He played in Leverkusen. And then we have Anne Moisic. She's the world championships in chess. And then we have Maurice Evans he played for Lakers. He was the vice president of the NBA Players Association. Then we have F1 driver. That is great history, because he was apparently one of the youngest European drivers in F1. He had a lot of talent. He was in a team, and then suddenly the team didn't have enough money, and in the middle of the competition decided to quit. And he never was able to carry on his sport career. So he was out of the business, just like that. So when he listened to our project, he thought, oh my God, if Globatalent were there 5-10 years ago, he said, I could have at least one chance to carry on my sports career. So all of them, they are so exciting. We've been talking with different sports. We have golf as well. We run golf. We have Anna from chess, Luis Suarez from football, Mauricio from basketball. Then we have joined eSports as well, because we have an agreement with different soccer clubs, basketball clubs, and eSports to tokenize themselves for over 20 millions by the end of October. And also eSports is huge. I mean, they are increasing their value 100% each year. Apparently, in 10 years, they will be bigger than conventional sports. So we want to bring them also to Globatalent, and especially because they are digital native. So for them, it's even easier to go through Globatalent than maybe other sports.
Wow. What now? Explain some people who may not know what esports are. What is esports?
Well, esports basically is there are different kind of games or computer games, like soccer game, like FIFA game, like NBA games, like Legends game. So basically, what they do is they play this game on the computer. Basically, it's not a computer, but let's say the computer, and huge amount of people are watching the finals in the big stadiums. I mean, in the Madison was full. In Berlin was packed as well. In South Korea, it's like a religion. I mean, last week I was in a conference that they were talking that this year in winning prize they have released 300 millions of US dollars as a winning prize. So, and last year 100. So that's been they are increasing 3 times per year.
3 times in 1 year.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing.
Wow, it obviously growing.
Well, Well, it's interesting. I mean, the esports itself, as you suggested, is going to surpass traditional sports, which is hard for people to understand to some degree. I mean, worldwide, it's shifting very rapidly. Tell us how your international kind of trips have been. I mean, I know that you've been, I think, in Asia. You've maybe been to Hong Kong. You said you're going to London this week. Tell us a little bit about your trips around the world and their response to Globatalent.
I mean, we've been in Hong Kong, we've been in South Korea, we've been in London, Berlin, in Moscow, in Miami. So basically, we've been in all over the globe, and they are very. I mean, the reception, the feeling of Globatalent. Most of the people they like the project basically for different reasons. One is that use blockchain in this business model. It makes sense. Second, it's a real business, building a protocol that may work or may not. Third thing of the staff is that the team, we are a team that we have more than 50 years of experience overall in the sports industry. I work as a general manager in different basketball teams in Spain. One of our founders also, he was a basketball professional player for Football Club Barcelona. He played the NBA. He played Olympic. He's an Olympic player as well. Then we have a guy who is the marketing director of Wilson Rackets, the founder of Latin America Blockchain and Spain Blockchain as well. So the capability to develop the project and to implement it, it's also one of our strengths, because we think that this kind of idea, maybe other people can have it, but then the most difficult thing is how to implement it in a real way. So we have experience also to develop business. So the feeling all over the world is that basically we are people from a sport business. We know how to do it. We have add people from blockchain, and blockchain make sense. And finally, we believe in decentralization. So overall, people are very exciting. We have closed right now our private pre-sale, very successful. And now we are preparing the crowd sale for middle of June. So we are very excited to finish our process of fundraising and to develop the majority of the project. We have already an MVP that the people can test it and use it. So we are happy, and then the feedback from different parts of the world with different kind of behaves, different cultures, that they are giving to us is high standard, and we feel very confident. But we want to start already to tokenize sports assets as soon as possible.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are speaking with Sunil Bhardwaj. He is president and founder of Globatalent, a blockchain entrepreneurship that is attempting to use cryptocurrencies and the blockchain to fund athletes and sports and athletic teams. Sunil, one question I wanted to ask you. Dean and I have done a couple of shows on crypto tax havens, countries that have very lenient or no taxes on cryptocurrency transactions or at all. I mean, one of them is Germany. I know that Hong Kong was thinking, or actually was the same situation, and so was Russia. At least Russia was contemplating having very lenient tax policies regarding cryptocurrencies. Do you believe that your mechanism of tokenization of athletes would probably be more receptive in nations that have, lenient or not have not as heavy a tax that, let's say, for instance, the United States recently came along and said, "No, I'm sorry, all cryptocurrencies are considered capital assets. You're going to have to pay a capital gains tax on this no matter what." Do you find that maybe the countries that have those, different kinds of tax policies are going to be more receptive to your company and to your business model?
Yeah, 100% sure. Of course, yes. The country that they are more crypto friendly, let's say, they will be more easy going through. But because we are globally, so we are very concerned to try to be fitted to most of the regulations. So basically, our second phase is to fit everything regulated in US, in China. We've been talking with people close to China's government, because at the end we are different because it's sports, and if people practice sports, then you have a more healthy population. You have a more healthy population, the health cost from the government point of view is less. So at the end we have an advantage, which is we are a sports company. And sports always is good for the population, and if it's good for the population, it's supposed to be good for the for the So I think cryptocurrencies all over the world needs to be set up from the regulating point of view, and it needs to be clarified everything, and everything is capital's gain, no capital's gain. If it's a security or if it's a utility, or if it's just a token. So that must be clarified. So because otherwise it makes complicated everything. So I think in the next months, in this year, from the regulation point of view, I think everything will be much easier because everybody will know which are the rules to play.
Yeah, because one of the things that Dean and I have noticed is that even in the United States, it's kind of schizophrenic. In terms of their views or the regulation policies with cryptocurrencies. I mean, some states, or one state at least, is saying we're not going to regulate it, we're not going to tax it. The federal policy here is, well, no, that's different. So it seems as if they get some sort of harmonization in terms of regulating cryptocurrencies, and granted, it is relatively new, and I think countries are having to react to it. But until that happens, it would seem to me that maybe the places where you're going to have a lot of growth is going to be probably Europe and Hong Kong for the cryptocurrency and this particular type of financing through the cryptocurrency. Yeah,
probably, yes. And South America as well, because they are not regulated and they are thinking what to do. And South America, yeah. I mean, except China and US, probably the rest of the world will be easier. And then we'll have to move further as soon as people or governments start to regulate.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Sunil, it's been awesome talking with you today, and we want to bring you back on as soon as the ICO hits, and we'll see how this is going, because I have a lot more questions. I see that you were in F1 for a while, right?
Yes, I worked for Ferrari for a while.
Wow.
Yes, and I worked for football, for soccer as well. Yes, I was very lucky because I worked. Very when just I finished my BSc, I was lucky to start to work high level in sports. So I worked for almost 20 years.
Wow.
And I've been lucky.
Wow.
And then just I run my own business. So and now I think I have to give back some stuff that sports gave me.
Yes.
So I think through blockchain, it's a possibility.
That's great. Yeah, I do love cars because I've been into Indy cars for a while, and historic race cars and drivers, and I'm sure you know the likes of Sterling Moss and Phil Hill. Both worked the F1 tracks a little bit, and Le Mans.
Sunil, he's not telling you the full story. He did a documentary about early racing, specifically some of the road racing that took place here in California. So Dean has a wealth of knowledge about that particular field, and I can understand why he perked up with that.
Yeah, I do love cars. I do love the racing. Yes. Yeah. So we'll have to bring you back on and just talk about that because I love talking about cars. So I know that's a little later over there for you, and you saw you got some kids there that you got to go take care of. But like I said, it's been great talking with you. We were excited to have you on last week, and we're kind of bummed we didn't talk to you, but it's been great having you on, and we're going to have you back on really, really soon, right?
Yes, I will be back, 100% sure, and I really, really appreciate your time and your interest in Globatalent, and it's been awesome as well. So I love to talk with people like you.
Wonderful,
and I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, guys.
Thank you, Sunil.
It's been wonderful hearing from all you guys, and we will all be back on here really soon. For everyone here at the Crypto the Wonder Puppy Show, have a great day and a better tomorrow.